All right, guys, what's going on? Back again with another Arbitrum ecosystem update. As usual, nothing in this video is financial advice, and everything I say is my opinion and my opinion alone. Guys, we're going to spend most of today's update actually talking about AnimeChain that was announced today. I'll talk a little bit about the nominee selection for the Arbitrum Security Council at the end, but I want to focus a lot of today's video on AnimeChain, Orbit chains in general, and all that stuff. So first, let's just jump right into it. We have a tweet by AnimeCoin. They say, introducing AnimeChain in collaboration with Arbitrum and Azuki. And I'll go ahead and read a couple of the more important tweets to the Arbitrum ecosystem here. Built in collaboration with Arbitrum, AnimeChain will bring millions of fans on chain. Arbitrum is the leading L2 infra for DeFi, gaming, and NFTs, operating at low cost and high speed, powered by Arbitrum Nitro technology. AnimeChain takes the anime industry to new heights. We're excited to announce our first and premier launch partner, Azuki. Azuki will be launching its anime productions, games, and physical products on AnimeChain, providing a blueprint for the other top-tier anime IP to be built on-chain. Azuki has pushed boundaries in anime culture, innovating in both digital and physical experiences across the Azuki and Beans IP. As the leading Web3 anime brand with a passionate community, Azuki will be showcasing the potential of a decentralized model for growing a brand on AnimeChain. Very, very exciting stuff. I think they also actually announced some more things happening with the AnimeCoin itself, since today technically this announcement introduced a chain itself as well as a coin. But I wanted to focus mainly on the chain aspect of stuff. First of all, this is actually, it technically marks the second, I think, big NFT crypto brand to move to their own Arbitrum Orbit based chain. Technically, ApeCoin, or the Ape community, was the first. That was, ruled by community vote. This obviously AnimeChain is a little bit different and probably more akin to like a classic partnership that you would see that most crypto projects make. But it's very exciting because, as you see, there's buy-in from Azuki, which is obviously like one of the other big, really big NFT brands within crypto. And they plan on doing a lot with it. There's actually a tweet here by Location TBA, and he does a great job, the co-founder of Azuki, by the way. He does a great job in breaking down kind of his thoughts around why Arbitrum was needed in this case and how they kind of plan on utilizing it for their community, essentially. Let me go ahead and read a couple of tweets here that I think are relevant. So Location says, to develop products and experiences at every level of the anime experience, the interaction with the blockchain may be just one of many operations that happens with a simple click. This needs to be as performant as possible. Amongst a field of maturing scaling solutions, Arbitrum stands out with 250 millisecond block times. The block duration affects how users feel when interacting with dApps and brings us closer to a Web 2 experience. I put out a tweet earlier today, and I'll reference it in a little bit. But this is exactly like the thought process that I think builders, especially who are building like an NFT collection, a community, a culture, essentially, which is what these guys are building, need to kind of enter into the mindset of, like, how do we essentially abstract all this stuff away as much as possible and build stuff that just works. Simple, it just works, it feels amazing, and it's smooth. Arbitrum actually does, as you mentioned here, stands out from the rest, if not from other L2s, also from Alt L1s. Arbitrum, I think, has the quickest block time of any chain out there currently. 250 milliseconds is about a quarter of a second. And by the way, this is a confirmation speed, of course, not necessarily, not necessarily time to be immutable completely on Ethereum, because obviously state is posted back to Ethereum and whatnot. But this is more so confirmation time. Essentially, when you press a swap, for example, if you want to swap on Arbitrum, it pretty much happens instantly, a quarter of a second. Usually it's so fast that whatever UI you're using, whatever crypto product you're using, usually is not fast enough to actually report the speed of it, which is kind of pretty cool. But Location continues on to saying, when it comes to matching how seamless the Web 2 experience is, Arbitrum brings us closer with custom gas tokens. For the existing Web 3 space, owning different tokens has become second nature. But for Web 2 anime fans who may have never owned crypto before, that we want to bring on chain, it's a huge lever to be able to only require one token to both participate in the ecosystem, of course in this case AnimeCoin, and cover gas fees, AnimeCoin, to do that as well. Again, which is also only possible natively on chain with Arbitrum. Another big plus with Arbitrum is the recently introduced stylus. Developers can write EVM interoperable smart contracts in programming languages that compile down to WASM, such as Rust, C, and C++. This opens up the possibility for more performant contracts due to the general superior efficiency of WASM programs compared to Solidity, as well as tapping into a larger pool of devs who are already familiar with other popular languages, I should say, like Rust. So as you can see, location here is essentially hitting on all the big reasons why they ended up choosing Arbitrum for AnimeChain. And obviously why Azuki, of course, as well as on board with doing it, and essentially bringing their entire kind of like culture and brand on top of it. And I was saying it here earlier, and I've been saying it in some of these videos. So if you've seen it, then you probably already know. But I'll say it here again. The biggest benefit of having your own chain is if you know your market better than anyone else. L3 orbit chains are built for mass adoption in mind and pretty much act as an on-chain consumer funnel. Consumers don't care if you're building a layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. They just want a seamless experience. And currently, layer 3s are pretty much the way to go when doing this. And as I mentioned, obviously, ApeCoin, AnimeChain, like all these different chains that are kind of being built for the NFT brands, but also there's like tons of more being built, of course, in gaming like Zai, Treasure, Proof of Play Apex, tons of different chains for gaming, and even I think some for more recently like DeFi and stuff like that are also coming about. There's a lot of orbit chains being spun up, and a lot of teams that they just know how to hit the market. They know who their market is, and they know what their users want in terms of like abstraction. And that's going to be like the really, really key component for like scaling to the masses. It's like at the end of the day, I think like Arbitrum 1, Arbitrum Nova, like the public chains are really, really important, and they're going essentially laying the groundwork for like this crypto economy that we're building, like all of us together. But I think like chains that will see hundreds, thousands of TPS, they're going to have to be layer 3s that are abstracted away, because that's the only way you're going to reach that type of like transaction speed that isn't just like bot trading. You know what I mean? I think a cool example actually was when I was with when I was in GDC. There was a team, I mentioned the chain already, Proof of Play, right? They have their own chain right now, and their game Pirate Nation runs on top of it. And one of the coolest things that a lot of people found interesting was essentially that all their logic lives on chain. They don't have any servers that like kind of point back to like how the game works. All of it lives on top of their Proof of Play chain. Previously on Arbitrum Nova, but now in their own chain. So they have their own dedicated throughput, and they essentially control everything. I think like that's honestly the way you're going to see things scale long term, especially for consumer facing applications like that. And it obviously I think in this case, AnimeChain is going to be like kind of one of those examples. And I'm just really, really excited to see how they do it and to see kind of how they integrate the whole like anime ecosystem and culture onto AnimeChain, because I think they actually mentioned it in the thread. It wasn't in locations thread, but it was in I think one of the other members of Azuki's thread. I think head of growth maybe. I think it was in their thread. They were saying that like, oh no, it's right here actually. What am I talking about? Here. The anime has transformed from a niche subculture to essentially close to being a $60 billion market by 2030. So this obviously everyone loves anime, and like it wouldn't surprise me to see that happen. But that's why I think it is important that Azuki does kind of take this leap essentially and leads the charge of bringing anime on chain with AnimeChain. All that being said, I'm really excited to see more brands, more builders, and more companies kind of adopt Arbitrum orbit chains as their kind of underlying stack, because the main thing is that it just has to work. Like I think that's the most important thing. Like A, it has to work, I should say, but then B, like it's got to be able to scale with your community, right? That transaction speed is extremely important. Having your own custom fee token to really make it your chain is really important. Especially if that token is supposed to be used within your ecosystem, like Location was saying, that way you're not complicating things. You literally just have one token that is everything. And then, of course, having that flexibility of having multiple different languages for developers you want to onboard that aren't necessarily into crypto yet, So it's really, really important stuff. And it's really cool to see all these teams starting to realize that. Obviously, like I mentioned, I put out a tweet earlier that I think like 5 out of the top 10 NFT collections are pretty much slated to have their own Arbitrum orbit chains, because 5 of the 10 are encompassed within Azuki and the Bored Apes. So yeah, it's nuts. Like this stuff happens so quick, frankly. And I'm really excited to see like, by the end of the year, like how many orbit chains will be announced, but also spun up as well. Because a lot of exciting stuff is happening. And it's just really cool to kind of be involved in all of it. And just since entire day, I've just been bull posting pretty much. Like who wants to actually work, right? Just tweeting on Twitter. is good enough for me. But all that being said, shout outs to the Azuki community. Shout outs to the anime community, the broader anime community. I really look forward to seeing all that stuff happen on chain. I want to end off this video with a reminder to make sure you vote for nominees within the Arbitrum Security Council. For those of you who don't know, the Arbitrum Security Council has voting every 6 months, and every 6 months, so a half a year. I think there is currently 6 positions up, essentially for grabs. So right now, as you can see, you can go to Tally and submit your votes for who you want to see pretty much be a nominee for the Security Council. So you're not necessarily voting them in yet. You're pretty much just voting in who will actually pass on to the next round, and then at that point, that'll be when you can actually select, okay, I want this person, kind of thing. So right now, this is kind of just like vetting, if that even makes sense. And I don't think any of them have actually reached that 5.4 million threshold yet. Looks like the folks at Conduit are at the highest, followed by Open Zeppelin, Bartek from Altubi, Yoav from the Ethereum Foundation, Sertora, Grid Plus, and a whole bunch of other folks as well. So yeah, very exciting stuff. But definitely, if you have ARB and if you're voting, make sure to cast your votes. And yeah, that being said, guys, I'm going to end it off there. That was a relatively long one, but I thought it was really important since obviously huge news today coming out of the ecosystem. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.